Hello everybody, Alexandria Anthony, World Paranormal Research Society. Welcome to this episode. We hope that this episode will inspire you to search, uncover, expand your horizons, and learn more. Push that plate of your brain further, seek answers. No such thing as a stupid question. Yes, we do paranormal research, but we also do a lot of research on various topics, and we hope this inspires you to get out there, pick up a book. You know you can't always believe what you read on social media. Pick up a book and learn. Before we go into today's episode, I want to bring something to you that is coming in the next week. December 13th, 2019, of course, will be Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th is also a very lucky day for me. Nothing unlucky about Friday the 13th, but folks, also a solar eclipse will occur 13 days later. It is a very rare astral and numerological configuration that was forecasted by Nostradamus. And I'm going to read something for you that is an extract from a letter from Nostradamus to Catherine de Medici, translated from Old French. And I quote, "My queen, even though the events I describe to you will not take place before the 19th year of the 21st century, they are beyond doubt when Friday, December 13th, enters into the cosmic resonance with the circular solar eclipse taking place exactly 13 days later, i.e., December 26th, good people shall inherit gold and good luck from heaven," folks. End of quotations. So he's saying this to the Queen, that Friday the 13th, certainly good people shall inherit gold and good luck from heaven. I'm a student, a studier of Nostradamus, and I, in fact, believe Friday the 13th certainly is a very, very lucky day. So today, folks, today's show is going to be on words of power. Words of power. Imagine for 1 second a word without a world without names. Let's take an example, folks, a very easy example. The chair on which you might be sitting on now, just suppose it is not called a chair anymore and has no other name in any other language, not even a synonym. Not bearing a name anymore, what is happening to your chair? Nothing, folks, nothing. Unable to give it a name, you just can't materialize it mentally anymore. In fact, it doesn't exist anymore. Let me remind you on this subject the famous sentence of the Genesis, quote, "At the beginning was the verb was with God, and the verb was God." And this is just as well as without the verb, God would have had great difficulties in creating the skies, the earth, the waters, the night, the day. And that is to say, everything that relates to our entire universe. Creating is not enough. Naming is necessary as well. One does not go without the other. Becoming aware that without the verb or the noun, there is only chaos and indefinition allows understanding the importance of the word, whether it is written or pronounced. To say, for example, that you are James. We're just pulling James out of the sky. Not only James, but James Wilson, which distinguishes you from a few 6 billion individuals currently populating this planet. Understanding that we create the object or the human being just by designating it is already transforming a word into an act of power. Among other words that you know, be aware that some are stronger than others by their meanings and by their essence. That is to say, by the natural or supernatural force they radiate directly or indirectly. That really is undoubtedly why the common names are distinguished from the proper names to such a point that the latter bear a capital letter as a supreme distinguishing sign. When we pronounce the word chair, we don't even think about it, whereas we do think about when we pronounce the word God. It is also true that certain words seem so common that it is difficult to allot them any specific power. However, it is wise not to give more or less power to words by just basing this judgment on what we think. So some of these words which have nowadays lost their meaning, thus their initial force, will regain a power that one should not overlook when being put back in their former context, just as behind the meaning of the words that you are sure to know often hides a significance that you are unaware of, quite simply because a whole symbolic system is attached to this word, which, used in the right way, folks, can lead to powers of extreme force. Let's take, for example, the word abracadabra. Let's face it, who did not pronounce this word one day if only playing a game we all did it as kids, abracadabra? Well, you should know that this word is far from being meaningless and even more powerless. It is a Kabbalistic word charged with powerful waves. Of course, when you pronounce it anyhow just to play, not thinking a single second about its strength, it is clear that nothing is going to happen. It is totally different, folks, if you replace this word in its Kabbalistic context. That is to say, by writing it while pronouncing it according to very precise, specific rules. Abracadabra should be written on the 3 faces of a triangle in order to be read this way and that. You'll see a screenshot of that. It must be pronounced aloud at certain hours of certain days and during a very precise ceremony to become the sesame which opens the door of the power. One is thus very far from the use made by illusionists, magicians, when they pronounce this word to make doves or white rabbits appear or disappear. The research and the use of words to obtain something from destiny is not a new concept, folks. Very ancient civilizations, Sumerian, Egyptian, Greek, Roman, they knew how to work that seam, and it should be recognized that nowadays we are only now rediscovering the various words and processes which these civilizations totally excelled in using. Before getting to the very heart of the matter, you should know that the knowledge and even more, the use of the words of power are part of what is commonly called magic. We're all familiar with the word magic. This word, which can be worrying for some people, contains everything that does not belong to the domain of reason. Therefore, it belongs to the fields known as paranormal. The magic is said to be white when its purpose is to do good, and in order to do so, calls upon forces or entities which govern the balance of cosmic forces. The magic is said to be black when, on the contrary, it aims to destroy, curse, control, and in order to do so, calls upon brutal and destructive forces such as demons, lightning, thunder, fallen angels, and tormented souls of some of the dead. It is the same for words of power, folks. We've got to get that straight. Very same for words of power. Some are white words of power and some are black words of power. And we're only here at this particular episode interested by the first, which is white words of power. Beware not to use the second into black magic unless, really is not a domain to tread into. They are formidable and sooner or later lead to their users to fortitude and even alienation. Why are you asking, folks? Why? Because these specific evil forces always ask a counterpart to act. Generally, your soul is up for grabs. Just like in the famous novel, The Portrait of Dorian Gray, for this reason, you must be quite conscious and being very firm on what you're trying to do and have infinite precautions and read everything with very great detail. Beware not to use any of the words anyhow. It is because of this that I myself have become aware of the dangers and precautions in regards to black magic, and only words of power concerning white magic will be spoken of in this particular episode. This explains why knowing the words of power is not enough, folks. It's not enough. One has to know how to use them. And that is what we're trying to teach enlightened people here in these episodes. And indeed, folks, to fulfill a wish to free yourself from ill fortune, several words are required, as most of the time a single word is not enough unless it has to be repeated a precise number of times to obtain the desired results. In magic, folks, all is language, not only the words, of course, but also the sounds, the way of pronouncing the word aloud, the colors, the time, days, and hours. And the purpose of words of power, just like magic, for example, in general, is to make possible what cannot normally be. And to do so, they call upon natural terrestrial forces, and we call natural terrestrial forces water, earth, air, fire, stones, plants. Planetary forces, astral or cosmic. Supernatural forces, gods, saints, entities, the souls of the dead. And for all of these specific reasons, the use of words of power was reserved in the past to initiates. And knowing how to pronounce certain words and mispronouncing certain words could become dangerous and turn against the user when not again pronounced in accordance with magical rites established thousands and thousands of years ago. Folks, never forget that knowing words of power and using them wrongly can trigger off wicked forces. And beware of pronouncing the words which are going to be revealed if you are not respecting the ceremonies which it's attached to. This is what we're trying to say, is that respect the spirits, respect what you're doing, know what you're doing. Understand perfectly what it is all about, and you must know exactly what you wish to obtain, and that is to say, to define in very simple terms, the evil to be cured, the ill fortune to be warded off. You must also believe with no restriction in what you're doing when you use words of power. Belief means everything, or else the word is automatically kind of stripped of its power. One touches here on the field of psychology, your psychological behavior faced with words has indeed a primordial importance, whether simple words or esoteric words are concerned. That is why, before calling upon any specific occult forces, you must put into action those you quite naturally have, your willpower and the strength of your imagination, folks. Very, very important. Just where did words of power come from, folks? That's a question that a lot of you may have. Any word can become a word of power, provided, however, that it is thought or said fervently in a prayer or repeated tirelessly as incantations. Nevertheless, some words are stronger than others, and particularly when they are used to name forces referring to various religions, angels, archangels, saints, gods, goddesses, also the planetary or cosmic forces, stars, planets, natural terrestrial forces, waters, earth, air, fire, thunderbolt, lightning, thunder, rain. But the strongest and most ancient words of power are quite certainly those which are linked to planetary forces, and more particularly when they are stars of planets being part of the solar system. Nevertheless, they do not all have for you the same influence. Everybody will be influenced in a different way, and among all the stars and planets of the solar system, there are some which are quite naturally beneficial to you, and as such, their names will be words of power for you. You're going to see a shot or a screenshot here, which are words of power. It's a words of power table attached to each of the 12 star signs. So that might be important to you as well. And to each star sign, there is attached a planet, an element, a day, a pole, which is either positive or negative, this notion not having the slightest pejorative connotation. The names of this planet, this element, this pole, and this day are words of power to be used in a prayer or an invocation. So there you go. You'll be able to look at the words of power as well, folks. And we're also going to there's various handbooks of Western or Kabbalistic magic, and you'll see some words here. I'm going to show a screenshot of health, moral, well-being, happiness. You'll see the various words of power in this chart, and the actions as well. So you'll be able to study that at great length, folks. There's different examples of words of power. And something fun that you may want to figure out is the word of power to know is your secret name. Did you all know you had a secret name? God in the Cabal has not less than 10 names, some of which are rigorously secret, and pronouncing the secret word of God means bringing down his anathema upon yourself. It is good for you too to have a secret name, maybe even have several secret names, a name protecting you, a name able to emit particular strong vibrations when you want one of your wishes to be fulfilled. And how do you find out your secret name? Let's take an example, folks. A person again, we're going to use James again. A person called James. His surname again, we're going to use Wilson. He was born January 3rd, 1944. All these indications constitute his authorized signature. But when you rewrite or state aloud all this data, even if they are your own, you probably do not have at all the impression of pronouncing words of power, and it is quite understandable. Why? Because your surname and Christian name are, thus stated, the very opposite of secrets, of magic. For them to become words of power, you first of all to appropriate them. And to do this, you must know everything concerning them. That is, your genealogy, the history of the secret attached to your first name, why you were given this first name. Also enjoy pronouncing and writing them. Be proud of bearing them. You can as well have several secret and powerful names, but that is absolutely necessary for you to know which is among all of these names the most powerful, the most secret. Once determined which is your most powerful secret name, you must learn how to pronounce it. To do so, you must perceive altogether from the level of your spirit and your body all the vibrations emitted by each of its syllables. The way a word is pronounced is very, very important. It enforces the power of the name, filling it with a maximum of positive vibrations. Your voice must be well posed, especially not high-pitched but rather low. It should not come from the throat but from the belly. And to reach that point, folks, you must do like singers. You've got to train yourself. You just have to lay your hand on your abdomen when pronouncing your secret name, and it is only when you feel vibrations about level with your hands that you will be certain of pronouncing it correctly, folks. And very, very important. And write your secret name knowing for your surname, the first name, to become the words of power is preferably not to satisfy yourself by writing them in characters known as Latin. So call upon the Cabal or to use the Enochian alphabet. And this alphabet, derived from Sumerian alphabet, was the first elaborated alphabet known around 1750 BC, folks. And you're going to see different examples on different charts that you can use in regards to the correspondence between Latin characters and Enochian characters. And you're going to see an example on how to get your name. Where again, you're going to use James Wilson in numbers, the name in Enochian characters, numbers, and the initials, etc., and then the vowels. And very, very interesting. You'll also see your secret name in a triangle. And the triangle is attached to the symbolism of the number 3. And the triangle evokes Trinity, balance, perfection, and success. And the strength of this symbolism has been known and used since the very, very dawn of time. It is the basis of pyramidal constructions, the Christian or Buddhist Trinity, the Masonic triangle, and the seal of Solomon. A triangle pointed upwards invokes fire and the male sex, and is the one you should use if you're a man. So if you're a man, you're going to use the triangle pointed upwards, and to point downwards evokes water and the female sex. It is yours if you are a woman, so you use that one, and you're going to see examples in regards to your secret name in triangle. You're also going to see an example as well as your name. We're going to go into, we've shown your secret name and the square, so you'll be able to see that as well. So folks, also, it's very, very informative, and I thought I would bring this to you, something that is very, very important, and we may not think of every day, various words and things that bring about words of power. And we're going to go further into words of power in another episode. I didn't want to overwhelm everybody. This is really just an introduction into various words of power, and we'll go into more of specific rituals, practical rituals in regards to words of power in a later episode. So as always, folks, take care and look forward to our next episode on words of power, folks. Take care.